guys, Colleen here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, make sure to subscribe on your way out, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so very much for coming back and checking on your girl. So today we're going to talk about powders, because you know what, I was requested to do this, and funny enough, I checked back like on all my videos and I hardly spoke about my setting powders and my finishing powders. So I was like, how is that even possible? So you know what, guys, we're going to deep dive into my favorite loose setting powders and press finishing powders. If you have oily skin, if you live in Trinidad, or you just live somewhere that is super duper hot, make sure to stay tuned and check out what my favorites are to keep this beat flawless and intact. Okay, so let me just deal with the pressed powders first, because you know we have to compare apples with apples and oranges with oranges. We just can't just go about all cray-cray, you know. But in terms of the pressed powders, you'll be surprised that in my faves I don't have any MAC, and that's because I know they're going to shoot me. We'll have some MAC fans who will be like, what? I don't like MAC complexion products. And when I say MAC complexion products, you see like the concealer, the foundation, and the powders, I don't like them. They don't work for me. They break me out, they break down, they look a little crazy, and I just like, you know what, clearly MAC is not for me. But I know that MAC has such a great range. As a matter of fact, I use their shade referencing to match myself to other foundations. But you know, once a girl discovered it had better out there, you know, in true Colleen's fashion style, she went diving. So the first one I want to talk about now, I did repurchase this and I don't know where the new one is, and I have to try this one out, but it's the L'Oreal True Match powder. Listen, this is such a lovely finishing powder, and it's drugstore. And I mean, I could use this powder on its own and get a full beat if I want to, but I usually do a light dusting of this over my face just to like blend everything and make everything look seamless. You can get this in any drugstore, Pennywise, you know the spiel, you know, and it's about, I would say about 60, 70 TT dollars, which is really not bad, especially if you're starting out with makeup and you're on a tight budget. The L'Oreal True Match powders are really good. They have a really decent shade range for drugstore. I'm like really impressive, and I use the shade W7 to set all over my face. So if you just happen to be like a MAC NC45, that is the shade that would work for you. Now this powder here got a lot of mixed reviews. I did get this in an influencer box last year, and honestly speaking, I like it. It works for me. They actually matched me very well. I got the shade 60WO if you're interested, and this powder is so matte, y'all. Like seriously, this bloods and finishes your makeup so very well. I must say though, this transfers like a mother, so make sure you take your precautions when taking off clothing or putting on clothing, especially if it's white. Listen, you're gonna destroy it. You know the tricks we use to make sure we don't mess up our clothes, right? But this powder is so very good, and I can use this also not just as a finishing powder, but as an actual foundation powder for the days I don't feel like wearing any makeup whatsoever. It is a little on the pricey side. I will insert the prices of all these products just so you know. I don't think I've seen anybody in terms of a local Facebook seller or Instagram seller, makeup seller, carrying these. But if you have a credit card, you can get this online. You can buy it from Sephora or Nordstrom, or even on the Urban Decay website. Again, this has a lot of mixed reviews, but honestly speaking, this works very well for me. I have had no problems with it, and I will repurchase this as soon as I'm done with this little compact here. Now this next pressed powder really was supposed to be an under eye powder, but when I purchased it, it was just a tad bit too dark for me to put under the eyes, so I do use it as an all over finishing powder, and earlier this blurs like no other. This is probably one of the most expensive powders I own, so I needed to take like a couple breaths because I know I have to wait for like a Sephora VIB sale or an anti-pat sale to purchase this. But earlier, this Pat McGrath Labs Sublime Perfection blurring under eye powder is really good at blurring my face. I don't use this all over my as a foundation powder on its own. It looks a little weird, but in terms of setting my foundation and my full face, like, this lives up to the name. It's really blurring. It's a weird shade of brown, and which is why I can't use it as an under eye setting powder, but I can use this all over the face, and it's, oh my gosh, like, this blurs like no other. Now this is the powder, like, if I have to keep one powder, pressed powder, foundation powder, finishing powder, one powder, it will be the Sephora Micro Smooth powder. And I think I was first introduced to this powder by Alyssa Ashley. She's a YouTuber with the really nice eyes and the full lips, and she has a twin sister. Oh my gosh, this powder, like, she's saying, yo, this micro smooth. And honestly speaking, like, this is a dupe for the MAC Mineral Skin Finish. Only difference is this does not, like, break me out. So I mean, I'm really happy with it. I will continue to purchase this until Sephora stops making it. I hope and pray Sephora don't stop making this, because this is what I have on to finish my face right here as you've seen it today, and it looks so flawless. Like, my face looks beat, and I did the barest minimum in terms of the foundation. This just finished it off so very nicely, and I use the shade 4010. So if you're like a MAC NC 45, 44, 45, the tan works very well as a finishing powder. Now that we've gotten the pressed powders out of the way, now we could like focus on the loose powders. Now these powders here, most of them are for like under the eye. I do use some of them to set all over the face. I'll distinguish which is which, so you won't get too confused. This one, like, this powder took me by surprise. My friend Deidre recommended it. She's like, yo, you need to try this powder. And when I tried it, it's like, yo, this powder is a dupe for that Fenty powder that is like ridiculously expensive, and this one is a fraction of the price. This is the Maybelline Fit Me powder. Now this is the shade 30 medium deep, and I actually use this as an all over face powder because of the color. I could go up a shade or two to get one for under the eye, but I mean, I haven't as yet, but I really love this as an all over the face powder. And earlier, it is like a fraction of the price of the Fenty powder. You could get this in Pennywise for like $60, $70, $80 or something like that. It is cheap compared to the Fenty, and I highly recommend this powder, guys. Now the next powder here, oh gosh, well there, I tried this powder back in 2017 because Jackie Aina made me, and I like to tell you, since then I have never looked back. This powder is thebomb.com. When I say it is the bomb.com, it is so finely milled. it literally melts into your skin. It literally lives up to the name of flower. And yes, all you don't know, it is the Beauty Bakerie flower powder. Listen, I have 3 shades here. That's to tell you how much your girl love this powder. It is made by the indie brand Beauty Bakerie, which is black owned, and I just love her story in terms of how she got into the makeup business and how she just overcome like all these like obstacles and challenges life thrown at her. And I just want to support a black owned business, single mom, cancer survivor, you know. Those are things that like really speak to me, and she makes really good products, and I just love her powders in particular. Now these powders are super matte, so if you are super duper oily, these are the powders for you. She does have 6 colors in this powder, but I have 3 of them. Let me just show you the differences in color. So this one here I have is Plantain, and I have it on today because I didn't want a very bright under eye. I just wanted something a little more natural looking. So the Plantain color is a heavily yellow tinge, almost caramel colored kind of powder. So this is great to use under the eye, especially if you don't want a very bright under eye and you just happen to be my complexion. Now when I want a super duper highlighted look, I do use the shade Cassava, which is the next one up, and this is like stark yellow, and this is what it looks like here. It's very brightening, very beautiful under the eyes. Again, like I said, it lives up to the name of flower. It legit melts into your skin, and it doesn't have like my eyes looking dry and creepy. It's very matte, I will tell you that, but not matte to the point where you're looking crusty, you know. And that is like one of the main reasons why I stopped using the Laura Mercier loose translucent powder. And listen, that was big for me. But I guess since I've like switched up my skincare routine and I'm no longer as oily as I used to, like I needed something a little more forgiving, and these are definitely it. And this is the Oat, which is a translucent powder. This one is what I use to set all over my face, and I don't get any flashback with it. Yeah, so if you're interested in any of those, I know there are a lot of local sellers now who actually bring in Beauty Bakerie. It wasn't like that a couple of years back. You could probably check out like Belarus and Julian's. They for sure carry Beauty Bakerie products. Can't go wrong. Tell me if you try it, tell me if you like it. Like seriously, I love that brand. Now this powder really took me by surprise. My friend Deidre gave me this like legit a couple years back, and I'm still working my way through it. But I really like this powder, y'all. Like seriously, when I finish up this bottle, I am going to repurchase a new one, and that is the Makeup Revolution Luxury Banana Powder. And this is supposed to be I guess the dupe for the Benai banana powders. That is like cult favorites. I know that is Deidre's favorite setting powder of all time. Surprisingly enough, I've never tried Benai powders. I know, like, scarier, but there are things that Colleen never tried. Trust me, I must do a video on that. Things will surprise you. But Olia, again, this reminds me of the Beauty Bakerie powders. Finely melts into the skin. This is such a great setting powder for under the eyes. Like, oh yeah, I have this powder legit 2 years now, and I still have product in it. Now when I tell you, this powder took me by surprise because I was really skeptical about it. I got it in a set that I purchased off of Sephora a while back. It is a Cover FX matte setting powder, and I got it in the shade Light. Now they have since branched off and they have a dark shade, but this is such a great like setting powder for like all over the face. It's translucent, it doesn't give any flashback, and a little goes a long way. Like seriously, when this is done, I will actually repurchase like a new one, and a full size at that, because this I believe is like a deluxe size. And earlier I would choose this Cover FX powder over Laura Mercier. That's to tell you how much I love this powder. Now this next one is also like a travel size, but earlier when I tell earlier I love this powder, the only thing I don't love about it is the scent, to be honest. But I like this powder because it has good like correcting properties. It is the Too Faced Peach Perfect Mattifying Loose Setting Powder. Again, very matte powder, so if you have very oily skin, this is a really good mattifying powder to get. Now what I like about this powder in particular is that it has a almost pink hue to it. It's not completely translucent. So like when I have those days where my under eye circle looking real dark and shade looking crack-a-lacking, I pull out this powder to set with, because the pink in this like it counteracts the darkness or the bluish in my eyes, and it really neutralizes the discoloration. And honestly speaking, like I have tried this, and this reminds me of the Patrick Star MAC powder again, which has the kind of pinkish tint. Only thing is that powder, that Patrick Star powder, was limited edition, so it's like you can't get it anymore. But I mean, if you have it or you had it and you're looking for something that does the same thing more or less, this Too Faced Peach Perfect Mattifying powder is really good. My only problem, and I have to give this disclaimer, is the scent. If you're someone who don't like scented complexion products, or you're very sensitive to scented products, this may irritate you. Like if you have sinus problems and stuff like that, this may irritate you. So I just have to like give that caveat there. But I mean, the scent does eventually go away after a while, at least for me. So I really like this powder, and as soon as I finish this travel size up, I will definitely get the full size. And the last powder, oh my gosh, this powder I received in my very first Beautylish Lucky Bag. It's a very expensive powder, and let me tell you how Beautylish basically turned me to say, you know, yeah, I have to get this when this done. Now mind you, I'm still working through it. I was using it like almost every day last year, and I needed to like kind of put it down because I was just going through and burning through this product. But when I tell you, this product is so good, it is so very good. And it is the Hourglass Mineral Veil Powder. Now if you all saw my primer video, you all know that the Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer is like my ride or die primer. I would have to say this is a ride or die powder, and I know Hourglass really making some very good like complexion products. You'll, I mean, if you have the coin, you'll really need to invest in this. Like, this powder is so lightweight and so finely milled. Does not create any flashback, even on the deepest skin tones. And you know, for us melanated folks, when we hear translucent powder, you know, sometimes I think it really translucent, right? And we really not about looking like no ghost face killer up in these streets. But when I tell you this, my only frustration with this powder is the sifter. Like, it is the hardest thing to get product out. I always have to be tapping it in something, but I have so much product left in this powder. It is not funny. This powder is like 46 US. I'm like, Why? You have to be so expensive. But Olia, what I tell Olia, your girl love this powder. It just gives a beautiful airbrushed look. I look legit like a porcelain doll. And it doesn't feel cakey, it doesn't dry me out, it just blurs everything. You know, your girl does look real flawless and face beat to capacity, and you know, those are the things I like. So basically, y'all, that is it for my fave loose and pressed powders. I really hope that I have basically told you all about some brands that maybe have piqued your interest and you weren't too sure about it, if it would work for you, especially if you have really oily skin, because you know some powders can be really expensive, and buying things that don't work is really not cutting it these days. But like when I tell you, these powders walk, they walk in. Like I watching my skin right now, and like a powdered down, it ain't moving, a looking, face looking flawless, like seriously. And these days I find myself using more powders than foundations because I'm wearing a mask, or just a quick beat, because I'm really not about the full glam. I really do my full glams when I come on the channel for you guys for the most part, you know, or if I have to hit the office or something like that. But yeah, those basically are my favorite powders. Let me know if you have any suggestions for me in terms of powders that I should try. Yeah, hit me up in the comment section below and let's have a discussion, you know, on powders, you know. And yeah, thank you so very much for watching. Make sure to like, share, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye guys.